For 20 or 30 years, the world has pretty much most of the time been awash with cheap money. Awash with cheap money, and that is an utterly unique extremis. You get bouts of cheap money throughout history, but not to the extent we've had it. And the reason we've had that is because of the structure of the world economy as being completely different in the last few decades from the prior few thousand. And I mean thousand. And in fact, what we've had is a trifecta of factors in the last few decades that have enabled this cheap money world that ends up with serial bubble blowing. So we've had massive amounts of bubble creation, massive amounts of money creation, and ultimately what we've ended up with post-GFC is what we all now call financial repression. And really, to understand the way the world works, you need to understand the cycle, and you need to understand what I call the Kindleberger playbook. Charles Kindleberger, one of the great economic historians. You might know him for Manias, Panics, and Crashes. You might know him for the primacy of world economic. I doubt you know that one, actually. It's quite dry. But you might know him for that. But whatever you know him for, what he did best was bubbles. And Kindleberger was very clear. 4 things make a bubble, 1 thing ends it. Those 4 things that make a bubble, it always starts with cheap money. It always ends up with tons of debt. It always comes with a crazy valuation. And it's always got a terrific story about why it'll never burst. Uber's a great example. You know, what a great idea. It's a great idea. I said bubbles have great stories to them. Uber's a brilliant idea. I think their revenue, I was looking at it yesterday, is 9 billion, depending on whether you include the taxi fare or not. I don't know what's important, but anyway, but they're hoping to come to the market next year. They don't make money. Forbes wrote them up on their potential IPO. I read the article. I was waiting for Forbes to mention how much money they do or don't make. It never got mentioned. They're going to be valued probably next year at 5.5 times expected revenue, including taxi fares, I think. $120 billion. $120 billion. Okay, so this is a big bubble. And it's not in the public equity markets, but it drives a lot of economic activity. And these guys are coming to the public equity markets next year. Okay? The bankers aren't stupid. The wizards of Wall Street know the game. Get it out the door before the end. So watch this. Watch this issuance, because this could be the last sucking sound you hear in markets. The bubbles are there. The cheap money's gone. And Fat Boy Slim is the best market forecaster ever. Eat, sleep, rinse, repeat. Okay? He put rave, but he meant rinse. So an eat, sleep, rinse, repeat's a little big sort of bout of volatility like we had in 97, 98, or we had in 2015, 16, or we had in 2010, 12 in the Euro crisis. That was quite a big bout of volatility. But my point about this slide is you never get off doing it 3 times in a row. The third one's the big one. Whether it's 84, 87, then the 1990 Big Bear. 94, 97, 98, or the 2000, 2002 Big Bear. 2004, you only got one before it was the Big Bear. We've had 210, 12. We've had 215, 16. We're in 218, 19. It's the Big Bear. And interestingly, before each Big Bear, money gets tightened and the bubbles pop. So I would put it to you that the cheap money bubbles are there. Never open the door to a private equity salesman.